Good morning. It's the 12th of June 2021. You're welcome to Inside Pages. I'm Francisca Kakra Forson. I'll take you straight to our topics for today. We'll be looking at the Chief Justice reporting Dominic Ayeni to the General Legal Council. We'll try and get some understanding into this and explore the issues there. We'll also look at the Galamsey Impact, a Metro TV campaign. We'll be joined by Henry Kwesi Bedu, who has been leading this Metro News campaign, looking at the impact of Galamsey activities on people and communities in mining areas. We'll also touch on the Ghana Green Project Day, which happened yesterday. We'll have Deputy Minister for Lands and Natural Resources join us. That's Benito Owusu-Bio. Yes, I'll quickly introduce my guest, but before that, this conversation will be streaming live on social media, Facebook, Twitter, all our platforms. In fact, just go to Metro TV Ghana and you can send your messages. You can also send your messages to the number, the WhatsApp number that will be displaying on your screen. Please do not call the number, just send your message. And you can use the hashtag Inside Pages on social media to help us find your messages and read them on the show. My guests for today, I have legal practitioner, author as well, Benjamin Antiedu. I'll also be joined by educationist and strategist Ni Ama-Adi, Deputy Minister for Lands and Natural Resources Benito Owusu-Bio, and former Lands and Natural Resources Minister Inusa Fuseini. We'll also be talking with the Municipal Health Director for Ahanta West in the Western region, Dr. Timothy K. Ofori. That's one of the communities that Henry visited for the Galamsey series. We'll speak to managing campaigner for the NGO Eco Care Ghana. That's Obed Owusu Adai. Yes, and of course, Henry will join us. Henry Kwesi Bedu has been leading the Metro News Galamsey Impact campaign. Stay with us on Inside Pages. But remember, Inside Pages is brought to you by Appointed Time Printing Limited. We are grateful to Appointed Time, as always, for sponsoring the show. When we come back, we'll look at Reporters Blog, and then we'll delve into the conversations. Stay with us.
Need a little help? Nobody does it better. At UCS Facility Management, we give you the best in janitorial services, which include high-rise window cleaning, office cleaning, post-construction cleaning, facade washing, deep cleaning, carpet cleaning, swimming pool cleaning, and event janitorial services. Locate us at Jowolu, JA Plant Pool premises, or call us on 0501 666 322 or 0203 299 212 or 0203 299 234. UCS, your property is under our care.
As a mother and wife, my priority is making sure my family is protected at all times. That is why I never forget to give my angel a Flora disposable handkerchief to keep germs and sweat at bay. When Habi is out in the fields, I'm rest assured of Flora coming in handy anytime he needs it. Even when my daughter Na is out late, I am confident Flora disposable handkerchief will be close enough to save the moment. Flora disposable handkerchiefs are my go-to disposable handkerchiefs any day, anytime, and everywhere. Flora disposable handkerchiefs is affordable and handy. Flora, better than cloth handkerchiefs. Flora is a product of Delta Paper Mill Limited. For inquiries and bulk purchases, call 0243 033 033.
Welcome back to Inside Pages. Right now, though, let's get the latest news updates from the Metro Newsroom.
In restraining the protesters, the High Court stated that they are not to hit the streets until such time that the appropriate authority lifts the COVID-19 restrictions on public gathering. The campaigners insist this order is unlawful, as under the High Court rules, injunctions granted without argument by the affected persons ought to last for just 10 days. Lawyers for the campaigners, led by Justice Ramsay, on Tuesday urged the Supreme Court to speak on the matter. He insisted the order speaks for itself and restrains his client indefinitely. The Attorney General, however, disagreed. He described the case filed by the campaigners as misconceived and completely unwarranted. He explained that under the High Court rules, ex-parte orders are to last for 10 days. He added that by the operations of the law, the order granted on May 6, stopping the May 9 protest, has since elapsed. He therefore urged the court to dismiss the case since no order is enforced currently barring the protest. The Attorney General, however, added that even before the expiration of the order, a fresh application for injunction has been made by the Inspector General of Police, knowing well that the May 6 order was to last just 10 days. The court in its ruling noted that the rules of the High Court allows the ex-parte injunction to last only 10 days. It has said the judge erred. The court therefore proceeded to wish that portions of the order that bar the group indefinitely be quashed. In the same ruling, the court said it cannot stop the Ghana Police Service from doing its work. As it stands now, there is no court order barring the Fix the Country protesters from embarking on a street protest. Despite this victory, there is a notice that was served them by the Ghana Police Service, which is expected to be heard at an Accra High Court on June 14, 2021. Legal argument from lawyers of the state and also the Fix the Country protesters will be heard on that day to determine whether or not they will be given the opportunity to embark on the said protest. Reporting for Metro News, I am Henry Kwesi Bedu.
Secondary schools promote educational standards of people. It also pushes parents to ensure their children have basic education. The situation in the border town Aflao, which leads to many countries, is different. Aflao is one of the biggest and highly populated towns in the Ketu South municipality of the Volta region. The town is dominated with locals and foreigners. It has been without a public senior high school for ages now. The students who want to access senior high school in the area have to go to Denu or Toko. This is disturbing the chiefs and elders of the area. They are calling on the Ghana Education Service, the Ministry of Education, and the Municipal Assembly of Ketu South to speed up on the construction of the senior high school, which was started by the NDC in order to enroll students this September. President of the Aflao Traditional Council, Togbe Amenya Fiti V, spoke to Metro News.
That Aflao, an urban community with this so high population, is without a senior high school. I'm talking of a senior high school to be established by a government. We don't have it. A community senior high school is still under construction. The one started by the former President Mahama is still in the bush. I'm calling on the journalists to come here. They should look for news. Journalists should not wait for the news to come.
Some youths who are expressing worry about the absence of the public senior high school share their frustrations with Metro News.
We are having a big challenge. This has been happening for many, many years. In a city like this, in a big city like this, or in a big town like this, Aflao Township, with a very big population, it will surprise you that you don't have a secondary school. It is so amazing that you don't have a secondary school. And you will have to travel far before you have access to a secondary education. It is very, very bad.
But I can see there is a school block here for you.
Yes, there is a school block, but it is still under construction. The building has not been completed yet. So this building was started by His Excellency, the former President, President John Dramani Mahama. And unfortunately, he couldn't complete the school. The school couldn't be completed before his tenure of office has expired. And it's still under construction. We are appealing to government to do something about it so we all have access to secondary education.
The people say if that project is completed, it will help them to boost the educational standard in the area. Metro News will keep viewers updated on this issue.
Over the years, Zoomlion Ghana Limited has been at the forefront of supporting government's effort in managing waste in the country. In 2006, the company provided over 2,000 motorized tricycles, 5,000 waste compactor trucks, and more than 500 skip containers to aid in the collection of waste in the country. It was therefore a landmark achievement for the waste management sector when Zoomlion Ghana Limited commissioned 500 new technologically powered compact trucks to help manage waste in the country. Dr. Joseph Siaun Ejepon is the executive chairman of the Jospon Group of companies.
We, Jospon Group and Zoomlion, Coniwas and ESPA, and other waste management companies and other institutions in the waste management sector give credence to the conducive business environment that has been created by your government to ensure that there is growth in the sector. We are here today to unveil the 100 state-of-art compactor trucks and some disinfection equipment which constitute part of the total 500 trucks expected to arrive in Ghana. And I humbly want to put on record that by 18th June, we will receive 50 of them. By July ending, we'll receive 98 trucks. And then by October to November, we'll receive the remaining 200 trucks. These trucks are very modern, and we engage the Ghana Armed Forces Training School to train drivers for defensive driving. 50 of these drivers are women.
Commissioning the fleet of trucks was President Nana Akufo-Addo. He commended the Jospon Group for the effort in keeping Ghana clean. He said his government would continue to create an enabling environment to encourage more private sector players to join the fight against poor sanitation.
These are the first batch of 500 trucks that are being procured to assist in the sector. I would therefore reiterate my invitation for more private sector companies to collaborate with government in creating business opportunities in the waste management space.
The Greater Accra Regional Minister, Henry Korte, who pledged his support to Zoomlion, revealed that the Regional Coordinating Council would soon launch Operation Clean Your Frontage to ensure residents living in the capital city keep their environment clean.
We will continue to partner Zoomlion to provide quality service to our communities, especially within the Greater Accra region. With the collaboration of the Regional Coordinating Council in the Greater Accra, very soon the assemblies will be supported and pass the bylaw which we'll call Operation Clean Your Frontage. Everybody will be responsible for their frontage.
Chief Corporate Communications Officer of the Jospon Group of Companies, Sophia Kujoji, Lisa, explained how the newly introduced technological compact truck works.
Every now and then, trucks are broken down and all that. This fleet is going to help to augment the fleet that we have, and it's also going to help to improve the efficiency of collection because of the technology that is using now. So it's not like somebody has to call you and tell you that, oh, my bin is full before you come down. But it's been tracked, so we'll know.
Other ministers and traditional rulers also declared their support to Zoomlion Ghana Limited to continue to lead the charge in the waste management sector.
At the Jubilee House in Accra, this is where President Nana Addo Akufo-Addo planted his tree. The name of the tree is the Lithium vitae, which implies that it is the tree of life. And according to scientists, it is used as a remedy for arthritis, for coughs, and syphilis.
Government is determined to restore the lost forest cover of our country. Indeed, we're doing so through a number of policy interventions. The attempt to regulate and sanitize the small-scale mining industry is one such to help keep our forest cover and reserves intact.
Also in attendance was the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Samuel Jinapo.
This will be a yearly exercise with increases in the number of trees each Green Ghana Day, with the goal of 100 million trees being planted in a day, all within the second term of the Akufo-Addo presidency.
I also engaged former politician Reverend Joyce Ayi.
There are many initiatives that are important, but nothing can beat an initiative which increases the forest cover of Ghana.
Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia and Chief of Staff Honorable Akosia Frima Osei Opari also took part in the symbolic event. According to the CEO of the Forestry Commission, over 7 million seedlings have been distributed across the country.
As I speak today, we've sent out about 7 million, 40% more than the target. We'll also have a desk at the Forestry Commission. We'll have a dedicated line, so those who have planted, who need more information, when they call in, they will be given advice on what.
From the Jubilee House here in Accra, my name is Eugenia Akofakumi, reporting for Metro News.
Well, kudos to the President and the Lands Minister, John Jinapor, for that initiative, and we'll follow and see how it goes. But right now, it's time for Ghana Moment, and today for Ghana Moment, we want to celebrate the late T.B. Joshua, and so that's the leader and founder of the Synagogue All Nations Church. We bring you this interview I had with Her Excellency Joyce Banda, former president of Malawi, speaking about her experience or her interaction with the Prophet T.B. Joshua.
T.B. Joshua was not only a spiritual father to me and my husband, but he was a very good friend of our family. And for that reason, we are mourning somebody who was very dear to us, but also who stood with us through thick and thin. Prophet T.B. Joshua helped heal my husband when he was very sick in 2009. So we are talking about 13 years ago. So our relationship has gone that far back. And so I must say that we were truly shocked to hear about his death, because he's only 57. So, I mean, sometimes the expectation is that somebody who is that age has a long way to go. And looks like 2021, there's so much happening. Because just 3 months ago, I also lost my son, who was only 48. So, yeah, it's a difficult time. I was elected together with my husband, my president, in 2009 May. And a few months later, I traveled to the UK, to Argentina. President Hugo Chavez organized an Africa-Argentina, not Argentina, sorry, Venezuela summit. And while there, I got a message that my husband had suffered a stroke. My husband was then serving as Chief Justice of Swaziland. He had served as Malawi's first Malawian Attorney General, Minister of Justice, Director of Public Prosecution, and then Chief Justice for 10 years. Then he was appointed Chief Justice in Swaziland. It was while he was in Swaziland in 2009 that he was traveling to the West Indies to attend the Judges and Magistrates Association conference. And I myself was in Venezuela with President Hugo Chavez and other heads of state when I got the message that my husband had suffered a stroke in UK. So I traveled to UK, and the impression I was given by the embassy staff was that he had suffered a minor stroke. Only to get there the next day to find that he couldn't speak, he couldn't walk, couldn't use one of the arms. And so after a while, the hospital did the best that they could, and he was discharged. And I remember the doctor telling me that I must accept that's how he's going to be. So for me, my husband is my best friend and my anchor. And those that have followed my career know that we've been each other's anchor, each other's supporter, each other's partner.
Welcome back. So for a couple of weeks now, we've been having a conversation about the General Legal Counsel inviting former MP, NDC MP Dominic Ayeni, who was also an Attorney General for the country at some point. For that conversation, I first want to take you back to this, what Mr. Ayeni or Dr. Ayeni is reported to have said. He had a conversation. This is a conversation that was organized by the CDD. They were looking at presidential election petitions and their impact on Africa's democracy. If we have that video, let's kickstart with that video, and then I'll bring you my guests, and then we start the conversation.
I would say no to that. And I say no because building on the 2013 election petition, I expected the Supreme Court, to be more faithful to legal precedent. I expected the Supreme Court, to be more open in the application of the law for purposes of holding the election management body, that is the Electoral Commission, accountable. I expected the Supreme Court to apply faithfully the rules of procedure in terms of the, adducing evidence to prove the petitioner's case and so on. What we saw was a Supreme Court that was, constantly, putting the hurdles in the way of the petitioner in terms of adducing evidence to prove the petitioner's case. And I'm sure for ordinary Ghanaians or the electorate generally, the fact that the Supreme Court judges, all 9 of them, on almost every application, was unanimous in, rejecting and dismissing the case of the petitioner was very telling in terms of the open-mindedness, of the justices as far as the petition was concerned. And for me, as a lawyer, one of the things that I thought, was a bit disturbing was the lack of reasons, okay, because adjudication is a process of accountability. And so for me, it is okay to dismiss an application brought by a petitioner for one relief or the other, whether, a substantive or procedural. But it is another thing, okay, to fail to apply the rules of procedure in a manner that enhances, the accountability process. Okay, so for me, at the end of the day, the petition actually, damping my hopes with respect to the independence of the judiciary and its ability, to hold the Electoral Commission in particular accountable in election petitions.
So that's Dr. Dominic Ayeni, and when this happened, a petition was followed, and I'm going to read that petition to you. That's from the chairman of the disciplinary. So this petition is from the Judicial Secretary, signed by the Judicial Secretary, Justice Cynthia Pamela Addo, to the chairman of the Disciplinary Committee of the General Legal Counsel. Topic, or the headline is Petition to Investigate Statements Allegedly Made by Dominic Ayeni. It says the attention of His Lordship, the Chief Justice, has been drawn to statements allegedly made by Dr. Dominic Ayeni during a panel discussion on presidential election petitions and their impact on Africa's democracy. During this discussion, Dr. Ayeni questioned the independence of the judiciary due to the manner the Supreme Court adjudicated the 2020 election petition. According to him, the Supreme Court's failure to apply the rules of procedure, as well as the consistent and continuous dismissal of the petitioner's applications or reliefs, were the basis of his assertion. These comments are made against the backdrop of the Supreme Court discharging Dr. Ayeni on a charge of contempt for similar comments made against members of the Supreme Court during the election petition hearing. Dr. Ayeni apologized profusely when he appeared before the court on the contempt charge and admitted to having made comments which were unbecoming of a lawyer of his standing and a former Deputy Attorney General. His Lordship, the Chief Justice, therefore finds his alleged disparaging comments totally unacceptable and would like you to investigate this matter further. Okay, so that's coming from the Judicial Secretary to the GLC. For this conversation, I'm joined by Benjamin Antiedu, legal practitioner, researcher, and author. Good morning to you. Hope you're well.
I'm good, yourself?
I'm good, thank you. We also have educationist and strategist Ni Ama Adi. Good morning. As for this, your hat, dear. I don't know how to describe it, but I like it.
It's for the morning.
It's for the morning. I like that. I like that. Okay, gentlemen, thank you for joining me here on Inside Pages. Welcome. Benjamin, I'll start with you. Did Dr. Ayene say anything that warrants this investigation that is coming from the Judicial Secretary?
Well, your foremost question is quite putting me in judgment, and that is what I will beg to skip. But just to say that it's a referral to the disciplinary committee of the General Legal Council, and the matter, as the content of the referral letter states, that it's for investigation. Okay, so we shouldn't appear to be prejudging the matter.
Definitely.
But the little comment I want to make on the content of the letter is the aspects that comments or states that the said comments are unacceptable. There is a matter that is yet to go through investigation, so I would have wished that that aspect was excluded. Okay, so that it's just this conduct that that has come to our attention, and we are referring it to you as the disciplinary body to investigate.
So which part should have been excluded?
The part that concludes on the matter that the Chief Justice finds it unacceptable.
Okay.
I think that when you are subjecting a matter for investigation, certain conclusive statements may be avoided so that it may not be misread. But generally, when we're talking about decorum and the right to comment or criticize judgments of the court, as has been said by Doctor, decisions of courts are subject to public scrutiny. Every institution of government is there for the people. You see, so it's like you have paid somebody to do a job for you, and when the job is done, then you have the natural right to put it to test. So there's that right that is inherent in our system, and every citizen has the right to do that. But in doing so, there are some contours that must be observed, you see, because there are rules of contempt, there are rules of professional conduct. I'm sure that if Doc was not a member of the Ghana Bar Association or a lawyer, then probably it might have gone into the area of contempt of court. Okay, so if you look at the law regulating this side, the Constitution is clear that even though before a person can be charged for any criminal offense, that matter or conduct should be prescribed by law, and the punishment must be defined also. But the Constitution has created this special genre of offense that the court, vesting in the court the power to cite people for contempt without even specification of it. So you find it in judicial decisions trying to spell out what constitutes contempt, and that is broad. But one of them is that you shouldn't say anything that will impair the image of the judiciary and bring administration of justice into disrepute. And when you do that, they may lose public confidence in the system. If the public confidence is lost, then whatever you do will not be accepted by the people who you work for. And I think those are the contours that must be assessed. But that is why we have a body that will judicially go into the matter And
which
then,
is the General Legal Council?
Yes, the disciplinary committee of the General Legal Council. And beyond even the General Legal Council and its disciplinary committee, there's a further appeal to the Court of Appeal. So in fact, there's room for that. And then even in the hearing at the disciplinary committee, there's the rights of every witness or a person under investigation, a right to a counsel, and all the other things, right to defend yourself. They are all provided in there. So it's not a conclusive matter, but we should watch keenly how the process goes so that we will all be guided. Thank you.
Very well. And we'll try and stay within the contours of the of the conversation and not delve into any prejudicial commentary. On that. With that said, let me bring in Niama Adi. Niama, so a lot of the time when such things like this happen, it's as Ben alludes to, we're looking at how far we can go in terms of criticizing the judiciary or their decisions, and also doing that in a way not to undermine or impugn the integrity of the judiciary. As he said, their image is very important, and the public needs to see them in a certain light and needs to respect them, and that also feeds into the work that they do. But it always brings us to this conversation. I'll take your preliminary comments on this.
Okay, good. Thank you very much. Yes, we have to be very careful and minded so that we also will not be contemptuous of doing anything contrary to what the rules of the courts are or the legal proceedings are, if you like. Okay, let me break this thing down for maybe our listeners who are not who are not lawyers, if you like, so they can understand the simple terms of what it is. Okay, so Dr. Aini is a lawyer, and the General Legal Council has what they call Code of Conduct and Ethics that guides the legal profession. So like my colleague said, if you are a lawyer, then you are put before the disciplinary committee of the General Legal Council. If not, then maybe a suit would have been filed against him in court for contempt. Okay. Yes, so it is there. So lawyers who offend the professional conduct and etiquette of the practice, what they call Rules 1969 LI 613, are put before the disciplinary committee of the General Legal Council when they are found to have done something contrary to what the profession says. So you say that if they professionally misconduct themselves, then they are put before there. But first of all, we have to look at context, okay? And then we look at content. So looking at context, I mean, Dr. Aini was speaking at a CDD event. Yeah. Okay? So, I mean, it's a panel discussion, and the array of issues requires that, I mean, it brings in different angles. And for me, as I analyze it, I mean, I see Dr. Aini, 1, as an academic, 2, as a lawyer, 3, as a politician, and then 4, as a lawmaker. Okay, so if, I mean, being an academic myself, looking at the academic angle of the argument, then that points me somewhere to what Sam Jonas said not too long ago about the culture of silence, pointing to the fact that academics are no longer speaking as they are expected. And he alluded to the days of Professor Dubai in the university, P.A.V. Ansan, Professor Yanka, and the rest, when they spoke to power. Okay? So if you take Dr. Aini as an academic, then you want to say that he wants to explore the issues as they happen. 1, in the academic lenses, because of what CDD constitutes, the forum constitutes. That's the context. And then the content based on what he says, I mean, academics have the right to analysis. Okay, so we say you want to explore, the issue on the table opens vistas for exploration. Okay, so I'm wondering if assuming Dr. Ini was not a lawyer or was not a politician, and I mean, let me say politician. Assuming he was not a politician, would anybody have dragged what an academic have said in analyzing national issues? Okay, so we have to look at it in that context so that we do not stifle that discussion. But I know he's put before the General Legal Counsel because he's a lawyer. Other than that, we'll be thinking, okay, where would they have cited him for contempt and taken to court for exploring issues that has academic angles? Because let us not forget that we have lawyers and law students, you have law researchers, etc., who are looking forward to learn from some of these things, okay? And thinking through this and reflecting on it, it's even leading me to want to write a book on legal apologetics in Ghana, because then every now and then somebody will offend something and will have to be apologetic about it. Okay, to what extent would it be acceptable, and to what extent will it not be acceptable? And usually when people are put before the General Legal Counsel, two things happen. One, it may, if you are found culpable, it may lead to disbarment, sometimes to the extent of 4 years or so, or you may be asked to apologize. And if he's being made to apologize, I don't want to preempt again, but again, as an academic, I'm exploring the issues as they are. If he's being made to apologize, then he has become almost unapologetic, because he has recently apologized on something he said concerning the rulings of the presidential petition.
Let me bring in Benjamin on. You hint at, or you give some information about the process, but Benjamin, explain the process to us. Once there's an invitation, the report is made to the General Legal Counsel's disciplinary committee. If there's an invitation, what happens? Take us through that.
Okay, so you check online, and the disciplinary committee procedure is clear. They've published it widely. Okay, so anybody, to begin with, let's emphasize the point that anybody can report, make a complaint to the disciplinary committee of the General Legal Counsel, anybody at all. And when the complaint is made, definitely the secretariat of the disciplinary committee will have a receipt of it and acknowledge same. So the first thing that takes place, the first step, is for the disciplinary committee to establish a prima facie case, okay, whether there is even a matter to look into at all.
Okay.
Okay, so when that is done, so definitely that will be done without the parties, I mean the complainant and the respondent in this case. And so when the prima facie case is established, then the normal trial process will be called, where there will be hearing of both parties and the evidence and defenses and all that giving. And then when the trial is concluded, then there can be a decision time for the committee where, as my brother hinted, there may be even a reprimand or an apology be rendered, or a suspension. The suspension is where you are stopped from practicing for a period. Then a disbarment, where there is your name is struck off the roll of lawyers, means that your name has been taken, you are no longer a lawyer, unless there is a reversal of that decision. So generally it's the normal court trial, because any administrative body that determines the rights and responsibilities of people will have to observe a judicial discourse. And so that judicial discourse is taken, but the unique element is where there's a determination of prima facie case before the committee undertakes the full inquiry.
So once the General Legal Counsel comes in here, this becomes a matter of ethicality of the lawyer and also the professional standard.
Exactly.
So that you are the lawyer in these things, the ethics of your work and the professional conduct, what are the limits to criticizing or giving commentary on decisions by the judges or the apex courts, the Supreme Court?
Okay, so lawyers are governed by so many laws in terms of professional conduct and discipline. As Senior hinted, we have the legal profession, professional conduct and etiquette rules. It has recently been revoked, so we have a new one in place. But generally, as a lawyer, is an officer of the court. Okay, so you are protected and you are also guarded against certain comments. So when a matter that you are involved in is ongoing, there is no determination yet, you are forbidden from commenting on same. Because of the potential that you are involved in the matter, it's likely you may make some comments that may not be in good taste. Okay, so you saw that the earlier one that Honorable was cited, that was the basis for it. Okay, so outside, if you are not involved and you are doing it, then definitely as an officer of the court, you have to behave in a certain way that you will protect the image of the judiciary. Okay, so if you do anything, okay, that will bring administration of justice into disrepute, that will make you unprofessional, or your conduct, to say that your conduct is unbecoming of a lawyer. And remember that the basis of this referral is coming on the back of his earlier contempt.
In February,
exactly.
This was during the election petition where he referred to the conduct of the court as smacking of a predetermined agenda, and he was held in contempt, and he had come to apologize. Exactly.
So I'm just feeling that is what has prompted it. If this one was probably said in isolation, it might not have attracted the attention, because as the content of the letter read, it has caught the attention of the Chief Justice. Okay, so what I'm saying is that you have so many duties towards your client, towards the state, towards the court, and I'm saying that from the court's angle, you are an officer of the court. Okay, so in the same way that you are protected as an officer of the court, you are also imposed with a duty to respect the court and not to do anything, okay, that will impair the image, the integrity, and then the administration of justice. Okay, but as to whether this, what has been said, constitute this, is what will be subjected to the inquiry.
It then would appear that Dr. Ayene would be in a lot of trouble, especially because of the February incident, and where he said that their conduct's marked of a predetermined agenda, and then he makes this comment as well. That kind of makes it's really bad for his case.
To some extent, but not to say that what he has said constitutes, a breach of the rules, but to say that, the courts, you look at the letter, okay, the referral letter, it points to that.
Yes,
okay,
let me just bring you that bit. The
referral
letter says, according to him, the Supreme Court's failure to apply the rules of procedure, as well as consistent and continuous dismissal of the petitioner's applications or reliefs, were the basis of his assertion. And
there's
I want to
read a follow-up where he said it's coming at the backdrop of.
Yes, so these comments are made against the backdrop of the Supreme Court discharging Dr. Ayene on a charge of contempt for similar comments made against members of the Supreme Court during the election petition hearing. Let me bring you a bit more of what Dr. Ayene said. He said, and I quote, "I expect the Supreme Court to apply faithfully the rules of procedure in terms of adducing evidence to prove the petitioner's case," and so on. What we saw was a Supreme Court that was constantly putting hurdles in the way of the petitioner in terms of using evidence to prove the petitioner's case. And I'm sure for ordinary Ghanaians or the electorates generally, the fact that the Supreme Court judges, all 9 of them, on almost every application, were unanimous in rejecting and dismissing the case of the petitioner, that was very telling in terms of the open-mindedness of the justices. Another, where he talks about, I'll just jump, where he talks about the lack of reasons given. And he says, because adjudication is a process of accountability. So he was expecting that reasons will be given for the reliefs. This was during the election petition that were rejected. I'll read this last quote. He says, "So for me, at the end of the day, the petition actually dampened my hopes with respect to the independence of the judiciary and the inability to hold the Electoral Commission in particular accountable."
So, as you have read, You see, there are general comments, and then you look at the letter, the referral letter, then it's referring to one of the conclusions that pertains to the independence of the judiciary. But for all those preliminary comments, he has the right to say them. That, of course, but I wonder, but that's a matter of opinion which we must all respect. But we had the opportunity to discuss the rulings as and when they came out. And then we discussed, there were reasons given for all the applications that were given. You know, the rulings, detailed rulings will come after some time. So we had them. But to him, the fact that all the 9 justices were going against the petitioner in the presidential election petition, you know, he is making a deduction from that. But one can also say that that is also to conclude that the petitioner didn't have a case at all. Okay. Because if all of them are always, from the very beginning, they are always, you know, saying that what you are asking for is not within the rules. Okay. So it's a matter of opinion. It's a matter of opinion, and for him, that is what he understands the case to be. And he was involved in the matter, and as Senior has also said, he's wearing multiple hats here. Okay. So I'm just trying to resist the attempt to comment on the subject, because it's for the rightful body to do so.
Nia, I'll come to you. Could it have happened that this matter is not reported or would not be reported to the GLC, given that he was expressing opinion? Indeed, Benjamin has talked about where he talks about the assertion on the independence of the judiciary. That's where there might be some aspersions being cast.
Yeah, could it not have been reported? It's then you want to find out what the intention of the reporter is, and like they say, I mean, you cannot even tell the intention of the devil unless the person exhibits what it is. And to what end should this have been reported or not reported? Maybe it will be seen when the investigation is over, and then we know what they want, what lessons they want us to learn from there. Okay, and like I keep saying, there are legal researchers, there are students, there are lawyers who need to learn every day. And you see, I want to see Dr. Ini in all this discussion as an academic, and that's where I want to focus my attention. But the reality is that he's a politician as well. That is what, in a way, implicates him, and that's why all this will be dragged. But I'm thinking that if it's a plain academic who is exploring these vistas, as I say, what would happen? But again, let us not forget that, you see, academia is infectious. Once you get to a certain level, you cannot dissociate yourselves from that infectious chemistry where whatever you say is seem to be long and seem to be delving and analyzing issues, or sometimes over-analyzing issues. It does not go away from that person, because don't forget, you spend so many years of your life studying, reading every day, and you always see an opportunity to teach. But wouldn't it be too narrow to look at this merely from an academic point of view? Because no, this is a person. We need to explore the political aspect of it. This is a person who is an MP for the NDC, one-time Deputy Attorney General, and he was a party to the election petition, which he spoke about. When we take the political angle, that's where we always find ourselves in what is happening. Then somebody else will also say that the Chief Justice has also run positions on the ticket of the MPP before, which is a fact, and therefore he may also be doing what he's doing on political grounds. You see, that's why I want us to settle it on a neutral grounds, because people know its affinity to the ruling party. We can't run away from that. So why don't we settle the issue on a center, you know, so that if there is an opportunity to learn from what is going, from what is happening, let's take the learning part. Just an intervention with the Chief Justice coming in. If there's a comment that says that that questions or casts aspersions at the independence of the judiciary, then whatever the
the coloring of the Chief Justice would not matter. The Chief Justice will come in anyway.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, the independence of the judiciary is one simple question that everybody who studies government or law would answer. And you answer that question, and sometimes you cite an example. So if you answer that question and you cite an example, and your marker or your examiner may not be in favor of the example that you cite, then
oh dear,
you can imagine where expressing your academic, if you like, expressing your knowledge in an examination will lead you to, because you've cited an example which does not favor who the examiner is. But you see, let's look at this again. From the quotations you picked from Dr. Ayine's statement, where he says consistent hurdle, every application was consistently, disabled or whatever it is. You see, we say something that all 9 were against whatever the other side says. Okay, we say something that under the assumption of what ceteris paribus, all things being equal. Under the assumption of ceteris paribus, all things being equal, if everything A says, B says it is not so, then A is likely to say that B does not like me, because everything I say, you say it is not so from the start. Under the assumption of ceteris paribus, all things being equal, 9 seats in judgment of an issue, and everything one says, it is not the case. And I'm speaking academically.
Ben, let me bring you in here. This is just taking us a few months back. Okay. Did you get that, and I'm trying not to ask dangerous questions, but did you get the impression that the reliefs that were sought and disallowed or not granted, the decisions were not transparent? Did you get that impression?
Not at all, but I think the reference of DOC is rather about the applications that took place in the course of the trial, okay, in particular. And he is also saying that those rulings lacked the reasons for that. But that is what I've made a comment earlier, that there were reasons to those, and we had the opportunity of coming here and analyzing the reasons. But as I'm saying, and I keep saying, that these are matters of opinion, and you want to respect, because he doesn't have the opportunity here to explain what he meant by that. Okay, but I think that the reasons for the objection of those applications and even the final judgment were based on sound law. That is my take on that, but that is my view on the matter.
Okay, to say something later in regards to the question that you asked, and to what Syria is saying, yes, concerning the application processes. Okay, I mean, we all know the common phrase that the common man's view or the common man's opinion, and they ask who is the common man, and they say, oh, is the man in the Trotro to Medina or something. And then in England we say the common man is the man in the Clapham, in the bus from Clapham Common maybe to Thimbeck or somewhere, wherever it is, towards that side. And you see, the question that bothered many is that why didn't we, and that's a common man's question, why didn't we allow the EC to answer questions? Because people are saying that, look, if we have entrusted the EC with a certain responsibility, then the EC has the right to explain to us what happened, at least before the court of law, how they went about it. Okay, so that is also a common worry to the common man in the street.
I think on that there was some commentary that it could have been sought administratively, not necessarily going to the court to get the EC to answer the question. I want to bring in, not to catch you, sorry, I want to bring in the minority leader speaking about this, and then after that we'll also hear from the Speaker of Parliament. So let's take these 2 clips.
That we in the minority find the invitation to be in utter bad faith and meant to be an attack on free speech, on Parliament as an institution, and also as an affront to democratic and academic freedom. This invitation must also be seen to be an attack on freedom of expression, and it's only deepening growing concern about the creeping culture of silence in our country, which is gradually lingering its ugly head on our democratic dispensation. The Chief Justice's position in our view, is an infringement of Dr. Ayene's right to free speech on all scores and intended to render him ineffective as a representative of the constituency and as chairman of the Subsidiary Legislation Committee of Parliament. It must be observed that this is the first time that any Chief Justice in Ghana's history is descending into a matter of discourse to prevent a member of Parliament and a lawyer from freely expressing his right to free speech in a matter that is not pending in court, but arising out of a judgment of the Supreme Court.
As I sit here, I gathered information that some members were arrested, were prosecuted, and they are before court without any notice to the Speaker. This cannot continue. Even when a member is alleged to have committed an offense and being investigated, the Speaker must be given notice. Because some of the rights that we have are termed immunities, and those immunities are absolute. For example, in Parliament here, during the course of plenary, whatever you say here is absolutely protected by law, and you are immune from any process outside Parliament. And that is why the Speaker's certificate and intervention are necessary, because the Speaker will have to give opportunity to know why the member is being investigated or arrested. And when it's one of the absolute immunities, the intervention of the Speaker.
So, Benjamin, when the Speaker spoke, or while he spoke, you kept nodding, especially when he touched on the parts that the House should be informed of these kinds of, and you are still nodding on these kinds of arrests. Tell us what you're thinking. Yes, this is one of the areas of interest, particularly to me, and he's hitting it right on the head. That, you know, the Speaker is the head of Parliament of Ghana. Mm-hmm. And immunities or special rights given to members of Parliament. So he is just, I think he presented a paper on, you know, the immunities of members in general. And then he's giving specific, you know, there was a caption that not all the immunities are absolute. Yeah. Some are, some are not. Matters or debates, the Constitution understands that people have report power in you to come and speak their voice on the floor of the House. So whatever you say cannot be, you know, be a subject of inquiry or questioning outside Parliament. If there's any default in the quality of it, then Parliament has to deal with it. That would include what Dr. Ayene said at the CDD event? No, you see the Speaker qualified by saying whatever you say at the plenary in Parliament there. But I think the CDD program, you cannot say that it was even a committee of Parliament where you can draw an extension that is a representation of Parliament. The Speaker is... So this one is quite distinct from Dr. Ayene's matter. So yeah, he draws that line. But the Speaker appears to be speaking to the judiciary, no? Talking about Parliament being informed and all that. No.
I think that in subsequent, maybe the tape we would have played, which speaks to the subject, was when he said that the immunity of parliamentarians is not absolute, and that if you say anything anywhere else, you can be called to this. Yes, he did say that as well. Yes, I remember. He said that after. Not in this clip, but in the full bit. So I think this one, he was situating his paper on what members say whilst in the House. Yeah. Okay. But subsequently, he made a comment to say that you must be guided whatever you say because your immunity is not absolute, and that if you say anything elsewhere, you can be held liable to it. Yes. So that this invitation should have gone through the Speaker first, no? No. This one, you see that this matter is clearly being dealt with
with Doctor being a lawyer.
Period.
Yes.
But he's an MP.
Commission, yes, but it's not about commission of an offense. Yeah. This is a matter of inquiry, which, if he's called to a hearing within parliamentary time, then that is where the issue may arise. But the Speaker was specifically speaking to the immunity from service or process and arrest. At what time or what point can a member of parliament be arrested or served with summons? You see, this matter has come up several
times.
Yes, and this is why the Speaker gave a very great detailed document just for the guidance of the members, and also speaking to the law enforcement agencies that this is the law, this is the Constitution speaking, so let's comply with it.
Just quickly, I remember in the past we've heard if they are on their way to Parliament and on their way from Parliament, they cannot be arrested. Put some light on that, shed some light on that.
Yes, that is very close circuit, and that is found in Article 117. It says, civil or criminal process coming from any court or place out of Parliament shall not be served on or executed in relation to the Speaker, a member, or the clerk to Parliament while he is on his way to, attending at, and returning from any proceedings of Parliament. So this is to the extent that once Parliament is in session and the member, let's say, is out of his house, then it comes within this close bracket, and it's for a reason. You see, because every member has a right to speak on matters before Parliament, and there shouldn't be anything that will, stop him from doing that. Okay, because criminal offences in Ghana are not, they are not statute barred, so there cannot be a rush in dealing with the subject. Okay. Parliament will even have a break within one session, 1 year. We'll have 3 meetings, and of course there will be 3 recesses. So these are, times that processes even for civil summons can be served.
Okay.
So that was at least what he was trying to.
I'm going to take a break so that we wrap up on this conversation. But before that break, I just want us to do a conclusion, really, in terms of drawing the line between when you can criticize the judiciary and not going overboard to impugning their integrity and all that. Okay. Neil, I'll start with you.
Yes, as you rightly said, I mean, freedom of speech, right to speak on various national issues, I mean, we are granted with that. But when what you say have a direct effect on the judiciary, that's where they will come at you. And for Dr. Ine being a lawyer, he's put before the General Legal Council to have said that he has professionally misconducted himself, not to have said certain things which he said, being a professional of the association. So probably that's it. But what to say or what not to say? I mean, there's a saying that sometimes you cannot be too careful about your enemy. Because sometimes you may have a clear mind and think that, oh, I'm saying it out of a mind. But if somebody wants to come at you, they can always find ways. Like they say, all things are arguable. Okay, so what to say or what not to say depends on who you are saying what you are saying to and what the person wants to do with what you are saying.
Benjamin.
So simply, it's a simple demarcation. You have the decision and you have the decision maker. Just deal with the decision, don't deal with the decision maker.
Simple. Okay, so that's how we wrap up on this conversation. When we come back, we're going to look at the Metro News campaign, Galamsey Impact. Henry Kwesi Bedu will be joining us. I will be showing you some of the stories we found and when we followed up with government's Operation Halt. But gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me for this conversation. Benjamin Antiedu, legal practitioner, legal researcher and author, and as well Ni Ama Adi, educationist and strategist. We'll take a break. When we come back, we have more for you on Galamsey. Stay with us.
Do not drop the awareness. The fight is still on. Constant disinfection is still very pivotal in the fight against COVID-19. Call an expert today on 020-300-4055 or 050-126-5426 to ensure your space is disinfected.
Blood gives life. Blood is very important. Let's donate blood to save lives. On Saturday, June 19th, 2021, Metro TV, Original TV, and Original FM humbly invite you to be part of blood donation exercise at the premises of Metro TV, close to Alisa Hotel on Dr. Isert Street at North Ridge in Accra. The exercise will start at 7 o'clock in the morning. It is in commemoration of the World Blood Donation Day. Join us Save Lives as we donate blood for the Blood Bank. This exercise is in partnership with Blue Skies, Pharma Nova, and 3Fair. Share to save a life.
There's a place for people like you.
Okay, so you're still here on Inside Pages. We're going to have the conversation about Galamsey. All week we've been bringing you reports by Henry Kwesi Bedu. He's been visiting a lot of these mining communities, following up after the government's Operation Halt campaign. Some good stories, some bad stories. He's been to the Ahanta West. He went to visit the Butre River, which he told us that had turned brown and people were still drinking it, dangerously so. He also went to Ankobra, where there was actually a positive story. The river was coming back to life. It's improving. It's being restored. So what I want us to do is to bring you some of these reports that Henry put together. After that, Henry will join us in the studio to kickstart the conversation.
For years, River Ankobra has been the source of livelihood for the many communities along its banks. Large quantities of fishes from the once clean river provided income to fishermen and everybody in the distribution chain. According to residents here, the water was clean and full of life until the river became a hub for illegal mining. The good old days were gone, and in the last 15 years or more, the river looked brownish, sometimes murky, as the river, which flows about 190 kilometers south to the Gulf of Guinea, was reduced only to a gold washing medium. But the story looks different after government's renewed fight against illegal mining with Operation Halt, which is aimed at clamping down on the activities of galamseyers. The once heavily polluted river Ankobra is gradually returning to its former glory. 40-year-old Inda Ezia is a fisherman and a resident of Ankobra, a community in the Lemble district of the Western region. He tells me residents living along the Ankobra River have for years cried over the polluted nature of the river and now can heave a sigh of relief as the river is returning to its original state.
Galamsey Osa first in the name Namkura. The Gramson Mabant on one sense, no. The China associate from Ba, a core operation or Sunudu, a core bomb, a quash show, machine and to say, oh, the Sunusawaban and Dadan. They say a core a quarter to down by a China, a 2 net moves once where Yachina, deserving a saka is you know. Catch him first now walk in sooner than I say. Come Carson Kunam no. Bo component and no matter times in any Nakamsa no Kumukuna, no Muhina or Marble Bobo. Who to me in the Uyubi.
Na next walk or so who the excavators why they no block
and then they block kwano no more since you kura mutu excavator for mutu fans no do ko mo since no kura
na oyo wo na abed na oyo nso
no say dey ntumi nya hwe say me nya sojani me nya police ni
this is nso no be how many days in no started or sesa
o be 4 days ni say me 4 days ni this is nani I fine.
When was the last time Eko nso no do
o be 3 days ni
Eko ene hu de
o ma hu de nso no asesa
ese woko ene hu de woko ye de woko show machines
and woko ahyehyɛ machines nyina mo sisi so mo achich obi mpo mo de mo akọ
enu de ma banner ye no won hyehyɛ machines na de na he na worry
and
they hope government effort will be sustained to ensure their source of livelihood is protected. Henry Kwesi Bedu, Metro News, Ankoba. The Bultre River runs through the Ahanta West municipality as well as the Mpoho and the Wasa East district in the western region. The river is the major source of water for residents of Ewusejo, Freti, Otopo, and other communities close by. Residents say the water was clean and clear before the river was taken over by Galamsey activities.
Base 85 years now quite important suma, the two de Uquensina, or then soon. Yeah, her name was soon, open soon, the Damanampo or Dambound, and that is Nai, Bibasa, and two Numusuno.
Women and children in this community use the river water for all their domestic work. Despite the pollution from mining and washing in the river, residents drink this water without any treatment. Food vendors around here also source their water from the polluted river. Comfort Person, who operates a small eatery, says she has no choice than to use the contaminated water to make food for sale.
I say, Nana, yes, so yeah, Eddie, Bamia, Bibiala, and in so baby, Papi away, Nina, I say, Miss Nomba, it is your name, yes, I did Bibiala, and in so babyala. Glamse for so what you want, I see when you walk. Then you what Kakra, yes, I near the alarm near the Atu.
23-year-old Innocent Mochia is unemployed and lives with his parents here. He complains about side effects whenever he uses the water from the Butre River for bathing. He adds that he cannot afford to buy water.
Because one thing, it may be and Ghana had a make a Ghana and a Jumania. You must have widen.
Residents here are pleading with authorities to clamp down Galamsey activities soon in order to save their source of water, the Butre River.
The Galamsey people have polluted the water. Because of that, you can't use it to cook and bath. Sometimes when you bath and our stuff is engineered, so you want the Galamsey people to stop doing that so that you can use it to cook and bath.
Henry Kwesi Bedu, Metro News, Ewusejo. "13-year-old Fabetia is being laid to rest in the Brofuyedro community of the Central Region after she died in a Galamsey pit which collapsed 2 weeks ago. Her 25-year-old nursing mother, Yasantwa, painfully narrates how her daughter was engaged in a Galamsey activity that eventually killed her. According to her, her daughter was advised not to go to the site on that fateful day.
Two months in Boom, and now I say, Minyam now to Baco, and the million so quite ma. But I just said, my man and quack, my banner, my man and quack, or so about quack ma.
Mama nko.
Catch also oko site o.
So oko site wo. Na me pam no se mama ne nko, aduma no nya evidence me nko. Na also obako. Miss Meda ho ame wo na me obi nso ba na so me ba no.
Two other persons died from the pit collapse, and the community is still in shock and despair.
So this is the Galamsey site that
want government to properly streamline the activities of illegal miners.
Government must do something about it. Try to regularize it. You know,
you're also part of the government.
You know, in the NDC manifesto, I'm sure you are aware of it. They said they were going to regularize it. By regularization, we were thinking of teaching them how to do it safely. Okay. That is what we meant by
that. Would be
for now. Else, look, no matter how many troops you bring here, it will not succeed.
So you think Operation What will not succeed?
Oh, we have had Operation Vanguard and name them. So many operations dating back to 2017. Galam Stop. What did we see? At the end of the day, they even picked the excavators, and the excavators got funding.
The assemblyman for the area, Francisca, Japan, said leaders of the community were not even aware there were people working on the site.
To be frankly, as I said, the site has been abandoned. So the people came to work here midnight, whereby you are asleep. Had it not been an incident.
But the reports that you were given, how long had they been working here?
In terms
of days, you wouldn't
for the number of days, I wouldn't know, because as at last week, I came to monitor. When you come here in the daytime like this, you don't see anybody working here. You don't see anybody working here. So they come in the night to, steal and then work, because by then the farm, the owner of the land might be asleep, and then no security may be around. Okay. So when they come and work, and then they leave.
The residents pray the catastrophe never happens again. Henry Kwesi Bedu, Metro News, Breman Brofuyedru.
Yes, and joining me is one of the vibrant, hardworking member of the Metro Newsroom, Henry Kwesi Bedu, who has been leading this series, Galamsey Impact, a Metro News campaign. Good morning to you, Henry.
Good morning, Francisca.
You look tired. I'm sad to say that, but you're tired, and you're tired for good reason. You've been very busy for the past, 2-3 weeks?
Yeah, for the past, I think, 2 weeks. We went on a weekend. We were trying to, as the campaign, we were trying to, in line with government's plan to clamp down on illegal mining. We went back to see what they were doing on the side, and we visited parts of the central region, parts of the western region, parts of the Ashanti region, and also the western north region, that's Asankregwa area. So these are some of the stories that we found out. Firstly, our first stop was the last story that we saw, the Breman Brofuyedru area. And before we went there, we heard that I think about 3 persons have lost their lives in a Galamsey pit that caved in on them. And sadly, a 13-year-old, as we've seen the story, was one of the victims to have lost their life there. We went on to Dentro Boase, the famous or infamous Dentro Boase, because of that is also a Galamsey area.
And that's where Major Mahama
lost his life. We moved on to Bogoso, we went to Takwa, we came to the Ahanta West constituency, where we brought you the butchery story, the river butchery story, and moved on to a place called Daboase, Biposo, where you find River Pra. So we also went to Ankobra. Yes. We've seen most of the rivers in the western region. We saw the Ofin River, we saw the Pra River, we saw the Butchery River, we saw Ankobra. Out of these 4 rivers that I've made mention of, it's only the Ankobra River that is regaining its original state, as we've seen in the story. That is a positive story for the government.
It's a positive story, not just for the government, but for everybody, and particularly the community there.
Yes, and you see, they are very excited with the fact that the river is regaining its natural state. They think that is where they make their money from. Most of them are fishermen in a community. It's a very small community in the Elemle district of the Western region. That is where most of them make their money.
Okay, so let's look at where you've been. Give the names of the towns that you've been, and then tell us where where you've been that we've broadcast, and then tell our audience the next reports of the places to expect where you've been already.
Sure. So I think the first Galamsey community we go to was Praso, where you could see, the devastation.
But we haven't aired that, no.
We've not.
So let's talk about what we've aired. We've aired the Butre, your trip to the Butre River.
We've done Ankobra.
And
also the Brofuyedu
So
community.
let's take it one after the other. Yeah. Let's start with, is it Ewusoji? Ewusiejo, yes. Forgive me. Tell us how it was. That's a community you went to and you saw people drinking water that looked so brown, like tea.
It's quite a sad situation, but most of them, some of the people that we spoke to, as you can see on the screens, the woman, she operates a local canteen, in a community, a local eatery in a community, where she sells food to other people who reside in the community. So if someone in the community even has the means to buy pure water, what we call the pure water, or sachet water, or even bottled water, this person is faced with eating the food. The woman has used some of the river water that look brownish that you can see on the screen to cook. So, and their children, bathing in this river, they fetch it, use it to clean their utensils. They drink it. They don't put anything in it, or in its raw state. They fetch it in a bowl or drums, what we call the gallons, and they just fetch it. You saw children in the video drinking it, which it's quite strange for me. When we got there, I recall that one of the driver that I was working with, Prosper, he was quite hungry and he had wanted to eat. And I said, "Oh yeah, if you want to eat, I'll buy some of the woman's food for you." He was like, "I don't want to eat anything there," because he saw the state in which the river is. And they don't have the issue on the ground is that they don't have any other source of potable water to rely on. Their only source of water is the Butre River that they drink, they use it to cook, they wash in the river, they bathe in the river, and they use it for all their needs in the community.
Okay. Let's talk about, the positive story, where the water, the river is
Ankobra.
Restoring Ankobra. Tell us about that.
So River Ankobra is one of the major rivers that was polluted, and the government always spoke about it. I think in the phase 4 of Operation HOT, government specifically, in a statement that was issued by Kojo Oponkroma, the information minister, they specifically said that they were going to clamp down on illegal miners in the river Ankobra and also on the river Pra. So when we go to Ankobra, I think that was about 5 days after the statement was made. The person we spoke to in the story, or in the feature story, said that they saw the military officers in the community using their boats to try and burn some excavators in the riverbed, and those who are even close to the river, involved in this illegality, that is the Galamsey activities.
So they're happy with the clamp down. They see the results. The water is being restored.
They are very excited about what is happening.
Very well.
Yeah.
In a bit, I'll let you talk about the next reports that you'll be bringing us from there, because you've got a bit more. So that will be coming up in the coming week. But I want us to go on the phone lines, or is it Zoom, and speak to Professor Patrick Agbesinyale, the Chief Director for the Lands and Natural Resources Ministry. Good morning to you, Prof, and thank you for joining us. Hope you're well. Hello, Prof. Hello, good morning, Prof. I'll give it one more try. Hello, good morning, Prof.
Good morning.
Okay. Okay, so hello. So what I want us to do is let's try and get a better connection, and then we can connect to Prof. In the meantime, I'll come back to you, Henry. Henry, so tell us what to expect in the coming week.
So in the coming week, we'll be bringing a report of River Ofin, which flows through part of the central region, part of the Ashanti region, and also parts of the western region. We'll have another report on the Pra River, which is yet to regain its natural state. Often same, that when you get to Biposo, when you're heading towards Takrady, you see, the devastation that has been done, and people in such communities like Shama, Biposo, the Praso in the Asen North constituency are bearing the brunt of what is happening to their river bodies. Most of them don't have, monies to purchase sachet water, as I've said, earlier. So we'll be bringing a report on all these rivers. As I said earlier, out of the 4 rivers that I've mentioned earlier, the Ofin, the Pra, the Ankobra, and the Butre, the Ankobra seems to be the only river that has regained its natural state. The Pra and Ofin is, brownish in colors you see in Ankobra. So we'll be bringing you a report on
this. And the focus on rivers is not only because of the whole flora and fauna, but also because this it forms part of their livelihoods. A lot of them are into farming and fishing, and that's the source of their livelihood. Okay, I'll try and connect. Niama has a comment. Niama, quickly, and then I can try and speak to Dr. Timothy Keofori. He has an interesting conversation with us about birth defects as a result of drinking the polluted water. But quickly, Niama.
Yes, a very, very, very nice documentary there. I enjoyed it. It's a very good work. I mean, you hardly see lots of documentaries. So if a station is doing it, we ought to applaud it, because that's why we watch National Geography and all those things.
Now you can watch Metro TV.
Yeah, we can watch Metro documentary. Very nice. But you see, the question is and the big question I see always with the Galamsey is we complain about the pollution to the environment and how it affects aquatic life and economic life, as you say, and the people living around. But the other questions that we need to ask that how the golds get out of Ghana. What happens? Because do they find something? Are they just polluting the rivers and spoiling the environment and get nothing, or do they get something? And do we quantify what they get? And what happens to what they get? And also, too, is there a way to find out who are the main kingpins behind these operations, so that instead of setting up huge task force and all doing those things, once you catch the kingpin who is behind it, I mean, it lessens the burden. Because if there is a big person behind it who is pushing it, and you can hold the person down to what the law says, then he would stop his people. But if you go on the field attacking innocent people, not attacking, but arresting innocent people and all that, I mean, we can burn the excavators and all that, but what happens to the main person who is influencing the big push in what is happening? And for me, those are the questions that I think that must also go into our documentaries when we do them, so that we can be seeing real solutions.
Very well, and indeed, as part of this campaign, we'll be having conversations with the stakeholders, and definitely these are questions that will be asked. But the focus really was to look at the people and how this affected their lives beyond the clampdown. As you heard one of the MPs talk about, there have been a number of operations, Vanguard, we have halts now. So, exactly. So right now, I want to take us back to what you discovered in Ewusejo, the brown-colored water. I want us to have a conversation with Dr. Timothy Ofori. He's the Municipal Health Director for Ahanta West. This is where that community is. And it is good morning to you, Doc. I hope you're well. It's very worrying to sit here in Accra and have clear water flow through my taps and watch a documentary where people have no choice than to fetch almost brown-colored water and drink.
Good morning to you and your listeners. The name is Timothy Ofori. It's not Doc. It's the Municipal Director for Health.
Okay. Thanks for the correction. Now, so has this come to your attention, the polluted water that the Ewusejo residents are drinking?
Yes, please. It does. It does. We are in the community with them, and we all see what goes on. And we've also seen the footage that is all over the country. And it's really worrying. It's worrisome, and all that we are doing is to educate the people on the effects of this polluted water by those who are causing it, mainly these Galamsey operators. So we are on it. It's not a wholesome practice. And looking at it, as in the footage. And when Henry was speaking, even the driver refused to eat when he was hungry, needed something to eat because of the water that they've used to cook. Look at this woman drinking this polluted water. It's the only source of water that she can afford. And I was asking the other time, if those operators think they have the money, how much is that rubber sachet? It's about 3 cedis or 4 cedis. And if, let's say, you have a family of 5 or 6, each is supposed to take about 6 to 10 a day. How many are you buying for a day, a week, a month, and a year? Maybe today you have the means and you'll be able to afford. What about the other days when this amount of money will not be there?
Now, some of them complained of side effects when they use the water, but they, I mean, of course, because they don't have any alternative, they keep using it. You are with the Health Directorate. What kind of side effects could these be?
All right. Talking about polluted water in general, one, as we said, the visible one that we can all see and talk about is access of potable water, which will be missing. Beside that, aquatic life will also be affected. When you talk about the health implication, common to all of us is cholera. Typhoid is there. People bathing in contaminated water, which is affected with some chemicals. They can have some skin diseases. They can have some eye-related problems. They can also have some respiratory condition. Hepatitis can also come in. When we go down, people bathing in the water, urinating, defecating in that water can also result into this schistosomiasis, bilharzia, what they call river blindness or schistosomiasis. Okay? Talking about that, the chemicals that they are using in this galamsey activity, which has leaked or seeped into the water, the lead and then the mercury that they use in this water can cause a whole lot of birth defect when taken by these pregnant women. One, it can easily cause to like termination of that pregnancy or anything. And if the woman is also lucky to have the baby, other congenital abnormalities can come in. Simple ones are the cleft palate or the cleft lip. We can also have other birth defects, the Down syndrome, the cerebral palsy, and other heart defects on the baby. So a lot on this contaminated water, which has chemicals from these galamsey operators.
It's a gloomy picture you paint there, and even worse is what we learned from you is that the birth defects are increasing.
Yes, I think Henry is a native or somebody. I call him a native because he knows this area very well. And you know, these chemicals, and when you go to those in mental health area, they will tell you these chemicals can also have some effect. As we even said in the earlier stages, the birth defect that comes about with can also have something to do with mental illnesses. And when you come around our place, the commonest thing that you see are people on the street with this mental illness. When you go to the homes, we are talking about Down syndrome, cerebral palsy, and other things. Just try and visit homes. Go to homes in this my community or in my area. These conditions are very common in the area.
And what's causing these conditions, these mental conditions you talk about?
Now, I can't just say is this one or the other. In this regard, a thorough research needs to be done. But as we've said, some of these things are known to be the cause of all these conditions that we are talking about.
Let's go back to the birth defects. Do we have any research on that?
We've not done that yet. So we are now putting ourselves into readiness. It's something that we've seen that is becoming common in the area or is common in the area. And so that's what we are looking at. The first thing that we saw was this mental illness all over. And this is what even drew our attention to see that there are also a number of birth defects which are coming up in the municipality.
So what's the way out for this community? Because it seems like a lot is going, a lot of negative things going on, linked whether directly or indirectly to the Galamsey activities. But what's the way out then?
Thank God the government is on its operation. And what we as Health Directorate and as a community members, we are engaging the chiefs, we are engaging the assembly members, we are engaging the community members to understand what exactly is happening, the effect will be on them if we should continue with this Galamsey in the only water that we depend on. So a massive education is ongoing with stakeholders all over in the municipality.
When you say stakeholders, can we assume that the MP for the area, for instance, is part of this? We earlier tried to engage him, and he's promised to return to us, get information and return to us. But has he been part of this?
Yes, everybody is part. The municipal chief executive is part. The assembly members, everybody have been part of this.
And is there a kind of plan or some kind of strategy beyond the government's clampdown to get the river restored, so that, or to find alternatives? I don't know if boreholes, if wells, so that they can have potable water to drink.
Yeah, these things has been done. The assembly is doing a lot in terms of borehole construction.
Please tell us what
alternatives are also.
Please tell us more. You were talking about.
Yeah, I'm saying assembly. Okay. I've gone around to give the community and other communities. You know, Hunter West is a very big community. The municipality is big and the population is also large. So assembly, depending on its resources, and others who are also coming in to support, are giving a lot of potable water to the people in the community. So all hands on deck, and we are trying to find a lasting solution to this. But you know, no matter what you do to others, others will still go in for that kind of water. Well, it was so shocking for us to see that people or children are still bathing in that water.
Can I just interrupt a bit? You mentioned boreholes as an alternative that is being done.
There are boreholes in the community, but looking at the distance from someone's house to where the borehole is, the person will prefer to go for this. And as I also said, some, no matter what you do to them, they will prefer to go for this water.
So what's the reason for locating the boreholes somewhere that the people don't find accessible?
No, it's not that. You know, it's a very large community. When you talk about Usejo, where the river passes, it's a very big and large community, and it runs through the banks of the community. So it also depends where the boreholes is, and then the proximity. It's not only one borehole that will be found in that community, but you know, some will still go in for that. As I told you in the footage, you saw children bathing in that river. It's something that has been said that no one should go into it, but you still find them doing that.
So how are we going to stop this? Get them to stop using the river and use the boreholes as an alternative, or find ways to bring the boreholes closer, or water from the boreholes closer to them? What's the way forward?
So it's all about education. If you understand the implication of you going to take this kind of water, I'm sure you adhere to it. And as I said, the assembly is also doing its best to provide them with more potable water, the boreholes, and other stakeholders that also come on board to help. So we are hoping with continuous education, they will understand and then they will adhere to it.
Very well. Let's also connect with Professor Patrick K. Agbesinyale, Chief Director at the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources. Good morning to you, Prof. Hope you're well.
Yeah, good morning. Hope you are well too.
I'm well, thank you, and I'm glad that we have a better connection. You've been busy this week with the Green Ghana project, but already Operation Halt has been happening. And if you can see from the Metro News series on Galamsey impact, some communities, we see that the water there is restoring. So that's some good news as a follow-up to government's Operation Halt campaign. But there are some communities that still have polluted water, and residents are drinking from these sources.
So, good morning to you and your viewers. Yes, thank you very much for a pat on our shoulders. We've launched Operation Halt, and we've seen some results. And we're also doing greening. So you can see that we're trying to tackle the environment and the resources from all angles. It's unfortunate that polluted water is all over the place as a result of Galamsey, years of Galamsey, illegal mining on our water bodies. But at least government, as the president has said, is determined to stem it. And so those are the results you're seeing. I'm sure it will take some time for the waters to clear. We are thankful that Ankobra has started to show signs of getting back into its natural state. And we hope the others will follow, especially Pra. Pra is very notorious because Pra is connected by a number of rivers that, including Ofin, and I think Brim at some points. And these are, tributaries that actually experience very intensive hot Galamsey along their banks. And so we hope that Pra will clear, but it may take some time, really.
Very well. Prof, what's the strategy for helping the water bodies, the polluted water bodies, rivers, etc., get restored? What's the strategy beyond the clampdown, beyond getting the illegal miners off the water bodies, etc.? What's our plan to make sure that the water is restored or alternatives are provided in the interim for communities living along these river bodies?
I think natural flowing waters, given time, will naturally, revert to their natural state if given the opportunity. So the most important at first is to stamp out, activities that disturb the stability. So once we are able to remove and decommission these Galamsey logistics and equipment and operations generally along the banks, on the beds, and close to the rivers, and also within their catchment areas, that's the tributaries and the various streams and rivulets that connect it, where in Galamsey and the hot is being undertaken. I think the river naturally will return to its natural state. A lot more need to be done because the pictures we've seen and the images we've seen, had said that Galamseyers have diverted courses of rivers. They've diverted them into ponds. They have, they have mined. Can you imagine? They mine the beds of the rivers. In some places, they divert the river completely or the tributaries completely and mine on the bed. In such cases, there have to be massive reclamation. And so I think our next program will be to tackle reclamation. And very soon you will hear from us, the minister launching a program to reclaim, large tracts of land that have been devastated by Galamsey.
And will there be some kind of collaboration with the Water Resources Ministry, given that until...
Sure.
Okay, maybe tell us about that.
Yes. No, you recall a couple of weeks ago, my minister, Honorable Abuja-Napo, and then the Minister for Water and Sanitation, Honorable Asindapa, if I'm right, and then paid a visit to the heads of Pra, where water is actually down the headwaters, where water is taken for treatment. Cities like Cape Coast and Kakra, they were alarmed. Actually, they were alarmed. In fact, that's what also provided impetus for the Operation Halt. And so there is going to be massive collaboration, not only with water, but also with EPA And all the agencies have something to deal with nature or the natural resources in that respect.
In one of the reports that we played, and Henry, correct me, which report was that? The MP who said that this was not going to change. This is an MP for the Breman Upper West Dentra constituency. He doesn't seem to have a lot of hope, because he's saying that we've had a lot of clamp down campaigns, Operation Vanguard, we have Operation Halt, Stop Galam, and these campaigns will achieve a certain success at some point, but then everything will return. People will go back to it, because at the heart of the problem is really employment, or finding a source of livelihood. What do you say to that, or do you have any plans to address that as well?
Yeah, thank you. I think, Madam, we all know the allure of gold. I mean, history has told us, how, gold is a magnet. The allure of it is very difficult. But I think the government is determined. What we're saying now is that the government of Ghana, under His Excellency President Nana Akufo-Addo, is not against mining. It's not against small-scale mining. You know, we are endowed, we are blessed with gold. This country is heavily, largely blessed with gold, from the north to the south, east to west. And we will mine. We will have to mine, because we are gifted with it. But we have to mine properly. And so government is not against mining. Government is not against small-scale mining. Government is against illegal mining, and especially mining in water bodies, and along water bodies or close to water bodies, and mining in forest reserves. So government has declared red zones, and these are no-go areas. You can mine elsewhere. If you decide to mine in your bedroom, which people are doing anyway, you know, that's not our business for now. Our business for now is to ensure that the water that is gifted to us, which is life, is available in very pure state for all of us to use. And that few people, for one reason or the other, to enrich themselves, cannot take all of us to ransom. Okay. And so what we're doing is focusing on the water bodies and focusing on the forest reserves. If you go to mine in the water bodies, you know, government will say no, 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 no. If you go to attempt to mine in the forest reserve, it's also another no, 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 no. And so for now, that's what our focus is on. So that you can mine, so that we can also have our water. Okay. And going forward, what we're going to do is that we want to, as much as possible, regularize, you know, small-scale mining, and bring all the illegal activities into a legal framework. Register them, make sure that they are properly, you know, given concessions, you know, which are verified, you know, geologically verified, and so that they can stay. And these concessions will definitely be out of water, or they will be away from water bodies. And that's what the plan is. Okay.
We're grateful to you for sharing all of this information with us. That's Professor Patrick K. Agbesinyale. He's the Chief Director for the Lands and Natural Resources Ministry. Quickly, I'll just pick some messages coming through to our WhatsApp on both conversations. Chairman Kisi says, Dr. Ayeni expressed his views on an intellectual platform, free speech on the attack, culture of silence alive today, #fix the country. Rahiz Welbeck in Kokomlimle sends this. Good morning. Why is it that in Ghana, when someone is killed, we blame the person and not the gun? Driver knocked down someone, we don't blame the car. When someone steals something, we don't blame the thing. But when judiciary went wrong, they say we should blame the building. The question is why? Hypocrites all over. Deputy Minister, okay, sorry, I don't have Okay, let me just pick one more message. I'm told that the former Lands Minister, Inusa Fuseini, is on. Let's go to him quickly. Honorable Inusa Fuseini, good morning to you and thanks for joining us on Inside Pages. Hope you're well.
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm fine. Good to see you and you look good. First of all, yes. I want to ask you, what's your impression about the government's campaign, the Operation Halt, clamp down of illegal mining? You have sat in that ministry before. What's your assessment?
Well, first of all, let me state that the government's renewed effort at ending galamsey is a commendable effort. We simply cannot allow the illegal activities to continue because of the devastating effect of galamsey on our water bodies, on the forest cover, and the fact that it compromises the health of people living in the mining area. So it's a menace we have to fight, and it requires a concerted effort. My problem with how the fight is going and proceeding is that it appears to me that they lack a strategic objective and plan. Because many people are involved, teams are involved, politicians are involved, businessmen are involved. And so, and the mining takes place in specific communities. The land belongs to, the minerals belong to the state. And so all the stakeholders must agree and work together to bring an end to galamsey. You know, the presence of government cannot be everywhere. And that means so, you need people who will be the eyes and ears of government, take control of the fight and possess it with the understanding that this is for their long-term benefit. I'm not saying that. You cannot sustain military activities throughout. It will be expensive, it will be impracticable, and so it must come to an end at a point. So how do we continue? Two, the fact that the president has endorsed the burden of extradition, which is contrary to the Minerals and Mining Act, is also worrisome, because this country is a country of law. And the least the president can do is to apply the law, to submit himself to the law, work with the laws of the country. If he feels that the laws are inadequate, you can sponsor an amendment to his Minister for Lands and Natural Resources to amend the law to give him the power to do what he's doing. But without doing that and acting with impunity, it sends a bad signal on how to fight against galamsey. But all in all, I supported the national consensus on how to end illegal small-scale mining. I support the fight against illegal mining that is going on. Albeit, I pray that we use legal means to stop the fight.
Very well. And what I want to ask you now is a question of sustainability. We've seen a lot of operation this, operation that, under the various governments. Will this be the last, so that we know that we have stemmed all illegal mining or galamsey activities and saved our country or our environment? Will this be the last, do you think?
This definitely cannot be the last. People are predisposed to engage in illegality. Perpetual vigilance of the state, the communities, the fringe communities around which money is taken, the civil society organizations, the media, the police, the security establishment will be necessary in ensuring that people do not go back to the water body and to the land for illegal mining activities. The Minerals Commission and how they regulate the issuance of permits for people to engage in lawful small-scale mining will be key to ending this menace and ensuring sustainability. How do we provide other livelihood for people who, because they are not unemployed, are drawn to the fight, to the illegal mining menace? How do we provide for them? Are we going to create other employment opportunities which are rewarded, that can move the people from illegal small-scale mining to those lawful employment? or what the we do. So it requires critical thinking to be able to move the people. But sustainability issues will be enhanced if we identify all stakeholders who are important in the fight against illegal forcing.
Okay, I'm afraid we've lost him there, but he was talking about how to go about the fight and the concern about the livelihood. Nia, I was going to ask him about your question on the kingpins being the masterminds and maybe tackling the problem from there. What I want us to do is quickly take a break. I think we're going to have another conversation on blood donation. There's a blood donation by Ignite Media, Metro TV, Original TV, and Original FM. We're going to have that quick conversation, and we can wrap up here. But you want to keep your channel logged to Metro News because, of course, Henry, Kwesi Bedu, and the rest of the team will be bringing you some more stories, some more impact stories about people and communities along these key river bodies involved in all of these Galamsey activities. This is Inside Pages. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Metro TV. Insightful and inspiring moments.
In Ghana and in Africa, there is only one place to look to get that luxurious design and decor for your offices and homes. Visit Jamila Home. We give you the climax of luxury wherever you find yourself. Presidential and executive office furniture, living room sets, dining set, stunning mirrors, adorable wallpapers, lovely king and queen size beds, valuable antiques and antique goods, beautiful chandeliers and more. Into the bargain, we provide caring customer service, prompt delivery service, skilled and artistic full house design and decor services, and free decor ideas for your space. Our products and service is unparalleled, boasting of top-tier clients all over the globe.